This conference will now be recorded.
So what I'm doing here, I'm just using Illustrator as a little whiteboard for everybody on screen. And this may not look very interesting, but it really does paint a nice picture. So here we have lead. So if this is the timeline from where you start a deal and to where you close your deal, what's everything that's in between, in the middle here? Like, what are these two lines that I've created? So this section is when you get your lead. All right, can everybody see that okay? All right. Help make it a little different. I'm going to change some colors here. There we go. So the red is the timeline, and the black lines are sections. And this first section is a lead because, generally speaking, when you meet a client and they're at the beginning, they're just a lead, they're not going to turn around and buy a house in the next day or the next week. Generally speaking, I mean, I know we all get some agents or some clients that are in a predicament and they need to move quickly, but generally that's not the case. So for agents, what is the process here? Okay, so if you're closing over here and this is all the I'm going to call this hand holding because that's where you're filling out the paperwork, you're taking them to houses, you're getting them to agree on a price and be negotiable, and you're really involved with them. And in this little section here at the end where you're closing, you're really involved with the clients. Okay, but what's in this middle section here? So if we were to look at this, this might be 10% of the process, and this is another 10%. Now, I'm not saying one's more important than the other, or that this last section isn't important, because I mean that's where the most amount of work gets done, in this section right here. Okay, this section, as I go crazy with my whiteboard tools here, there we go. Bear with me here. This green circle that I have going on is where the most amount of work gets done when working on a deal. But this giant section in the middle, I'm going to call that FU. Does anybody know what FU stands for here? Anybody want to take a wild guess? It stands for follow-up. Okay. This would be 80% of the process is in the follow-up, and not a lot of agents like to do this. Not a lot of agents stay organized enough to follow up in a natural progression in order to get them into this section, into the hand-holding section, as we're going to call it, and close the deal. All right, and make this more fun, I'm going to call it a close with a $sign. Okay, I'm going to save this for other presentations. So from the time you start and you get a lead, that's 10% of the timeline for this particular client. The largest section is the 80% of follow-up that you have to do. And does anybody struggle with that? Anybody want to share some stories, positive or negative, anything that's happened to them during follow-up where they maybe lost a client because they forgot to follow up, or they stuck to it really well and they find the best possible service? This is a quiet group. I'm surprised.
Oh, you know what? It all depends. It happens all the time. You lose some, you win some. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good perception to have on it, a good attitude to bring to the table, because you're not getting too hung up and too negative. But at the same time, you want to be able to capture this. You want to make sure The follow-up feeds this last section where most of the work happens, right? Again, I'm being very generic with hand holding. There's so much involved, and that's when most of the work happens here for you to close and make some money. So within opportunities in command, so if everybody's here, what you want to click on are the two hands holding each other. Okay, and it's going to take you to listing, buying, and lease. You can decide which one you want to work on for today's class, okay? And I'm going to mess around in leases because I actually use listings and buying for other things. And I can't go in there and change it too much. But all of these are the same. They're cultivate your lead to the point that you have an appointment and they're an active client, they're under contract, and you close. So this cultivate is this first 10%. You get a lead and you cultivate them and you follow up with them till you have an appointment. And then these last three sections are in the last little stretch of this timeline. Another way to look at it, and some of you have seen this already because you've attended some classes, and I like to refer to this a lot. Where's my funnel? Oh, I'm in the wrong folder, that's why. Funnel. So here's the lead gen model.
Hello, Internet.
So your lead generation, you're doing your prospect and your marketing, and you capture a lead. You get my name, Ryan, and an email, or Ryan and a phone number, and that's it. You eventually reach out to me and you get my full information, my timeline, when I want to move, my wife's name, where I currently live, and you find out I'm not ready to move just yet. I might have a job opportunity. It might be a year away, it might be 2 years away. And then there's all this cultivating that's going on before you book an appointment. I'm an active client, I'm under contract, and you close the deal. So this cultivate section, this is that 80% again. So I did the whiteboard. This already exists, all depending which one resonates with you. This follow-up is so integral because if you don't do it, like Louis said, you could lose a client. Thank you, Louis, for sharing. So we want to set things up in command. We want to take advantage of opportunities or sales pipeline and let command stay in contact with our clients for us, but we need to organize that and we need to map that out first, okay? We're going to be taking advantage of things like smart plans. We're going to be taking advantage of things like text, phone calls. We're going to be, if this is part of your model, putting things in the mail, sending them an actual mail card, and you're going to send them invites to events. But how do you make sure you know to do all of this? Okay, that's where opportunities comes into play. And what happens is when you get a lead, and you can ignore all of these titles and stages, okay? If you've already clicked in and it doesn't make sense to you, that's completely fine. We're going to be working together on cleaning that up and mapping it out for you. But what happens is you create an opportunity, okay? Annette is my opportunity. I'm going to give her a specific name. You're my demo op. I can do a tag. I can put in estimated closing date, the listing price, my commission. If you're in a different section like listing or buying, it'll be a percentage and not a dollar amount. Okay. And when you create an opportunity, it's going to take you to a detail section of that opportunity, very similar to a detail card for a contact. But what I want to show you is this opportunity is its own little card. And we're going to be moving through your stages that you build custom to you in your process. And they're going to be going through these phases, right? These columns are called phases. and you're going to be moving them through everything that you have. All right. So already I'm going to tell you, if you look at this and you're like, holy crap, what is this? Oh, wow, I'm really overwhelmed. Don't worry about it. As always, my first session on a new topic is an overview, and I throw quite a lot out there, and it can be overwhelming. And we're just getting started because there's so much involved with opportunities. I might even extend this into next week. I just want to show everybody some of the things that it can do, and then we're going to dial in and customize it for each individual agent. So this is the opportunity card, and as you move them through these phases, right? If I get down to the end, and each phase is specific instructions for me to do for that opportunity, for that possible client. And it can be very basic. It could be put on a smart plan, check mark, it's done, and now they're ready to move to the next stage, right? It could be very complex. You can have 15, 50 checklist items to do in that specific phase, all depending on what it is and how you do your business. But what happens when they get to the end is you take them, and now we've booked an appointment. So I drag them in the appointment section. Is it scheduled? Oh yeah, I'm on the phone, we're done. I move them to schedule, right? I don't have to worry about this kept. I'm not a big fan of this one personally. And again, we'll get into customizing all of these phases. But now that Annette and I have met, we're sitting down together, and I'm done. I have all kinds of notes, and I'm ready to move forward with her. She's an active client. And then I go through my broker-based setup, my showings, my application submitted, my legacy, and there are check marks in here. Step 1's done. Step 2 is done. Great. I'm 2 out of 2. I'm ready to move forward to my showing, right? The showing went well. We're going to the application section, right? And maybe on one of these checklist items, it isn't done yet, but you need to make sure it's done by a certain date. You can go in and select a specific date that this is due, and Kelly and Command are going to remind you about that being a requirement and the due date that you specify. Okay. Pending deals. And then eventually you click and drag it into closed. And it stays in closed for, I believe, 2 months. And then it moves to a different section. So, I think I may have inadvertently, there it is. There, I've moved it over there. So all of these things work within each other, and within the opportunity, there's a lot of different things: details, documents, commission, notes, timeline. You can see everything you're doing for this particular opportunity. This opportunity enables you to set it and forget it. You don't have to sit there and run over a mental checklist of things that you have to do, get to the end of that checklist and say, oh, did I remember to include a net in that? Did I? No. What? And then you start over. And then you get to the end of that mental checklist and you're like, you're not quite sure, and you start over. Eventually you get up and you write it down because you don't want to forget anything that's important. And then what you've written down is out of date and obsolete within a couple of days because you've moved along, and now you have to re-record that information just for your own sanity. These opportunities within these phases and stages allows you to create an opportunity and then set it, because it's set when you create that opportunity, and then you can forget it. You don't have to worry about doing that mental checklist because you know you have your opportunity created, right? And if I go back here for a second, I'm really going to show you some crazy stuff. These opportunities, they contain a lot of information. Okay, property address, a seller worksheet, you can put it in the description. You have your general information for your client. You also have a seller profile, which I've not filled out for this opportunity. You can go into documents, and this is where we're going to access DocuSign, and I'm going to walk everybody through that. We're going to spend a whole afternoon on DocuSign. Okay, and this is where the documents can be uploaded and added if you're doing compliance, or you can, there's lots of different ways to do it. You can input your offers, add a new offer, initial offer, and then it's going to take you through offer details, the parties involved, the terms of the offer, and then you get to put in your own 2 cents with your agent analysis. And when you're done, it'll look like this. It'll lay them all out. And then you can select all of the offers and do a comparison. And you can email this directly to your client or download it and take it to them personally. And it tells you right here, sales price for the home, how much cash they have available, the finance amount, the earnest money, option B, the test termination notice, offer date, closing date, summary, pros, cons, pre-approved, pre-qualified. You get to put in all of that information. And you can see here, these people look like the ones to pick. My pros, they have more money down and a better finances to get approval. This lays your offers out in one shot instead of sending it to your client in one email for one offer with a bunch of attachments and then another offer and another email with a bunch of attachments. Okay, Louis, that's a fantastic question you're asking about next one, and I'm going to get into that just in a moment.
Ryan,
Yeah.
you know what? I have been looking at that, and I think it's really, really a great feature in this whole thing. But what I'm fighting with is this: is that I'm not fighting. The whole thing is that at the moment we are working with Invaltour,
Yep.
and I have to upload everything in Invaltour to, and I do my signing there with Next One or whatever it's called. So unless I don't have to do that, I will definitely go into this system. But because we're still working with Valtour, for me, this is double work.
I understand. You don't have to do the documents and sections in here. You can.
No, but you know what I mean?
No,
I mean,
I know. I know.
I like to get things streamlined and I only like to do it once. So having Valtour that I have to do, because that is part of our office,
Yep.
I don't want to do it again in here. You know what I mean? Because I only have so many hours in a day.
So I'll answer that because this is exactly what Louis answered. So I'll cut to that chase right now. All of the fall tour and next one stuff isn't going to be around forever.
No, I understand.
It's a cost. It's a cost. I hear you. It's a cost to the brokerage. So why would the brokerage spend money on that if this is available for free?
Well, the whole thing is then, I think that if we're going to go and change over to this, then I'm happy not to pay
That's
for
what
a
I'm saying, Annette.
call tour and do this. I have no problem doing this, but now I don't want to do things.
I'm telling you, this is where it's going. We're going to be leaving fall tour behind. There's a timeline on that because we pay for it and we have a contract with them, but this is where it is headed.
Okay,
You
well,
can take advantage of this now. And what's that?
I said I'm happy to hear that because again, I rather want to do it once. I have no problem to learn this. This looks very intriguing to me. Yeah. So when is that timeline up? So I know.
I don't give out those dates, and there's still a lot of moving pieces involved. Okay, so what I'm proposing for everybody is to create opportunities because when you get into, let me go into this here for a second. When you get into commissions, it's going to show you where your cap is. It's going to have an active graph. And these stats aren't going to be accurate if you're not creating those opportunities. So at the very least, if you're using Fall Tour right now and taking advantage of the upload service, all you have to do is create an opportunity and put in the sale amount and your commission.
Okay, so I can do it without doing all those steps of appointment, active, and everything else. Okay, well then I'm interested. Otherwise, again, I have to do it twice, and I don't like doing things twice. So okay.
Right. So if you simply because if you're going to take advantage of DocuSign, which I highly recommend, even over next one.
Yeah.
I know there are some additional steps involved. If anybody's watched my DocuSign video, because you do have to go in, and I was actually happy to hear they've done those updates where all the contacts are pulling in, so you don't have to type every individual email out every time. If you just create your opportunities, it's going to show your potential income and your probable income. You're going to be able to map out those sales, that income, and you're already dipping your toe in the water for opportunities within Command. And then when we do transition over, it's not a complete shock.
Yep.
You already are familiar with the system and how it works.
Got it.
Okay. So in order to use DocuSign, the process is, and I'm jumping ahead here. I will show everybody how to set it up in Command, like connect the account. And then in order to create, to access it, you create an opportunity for somebody. All right, so there's Lewis. I give it a name, 123 Main Street, and I give it a commission rate. I'm 100%. I'm very expensive. And then I go into documents, and now I can start a transaction, and that's going to bounce me out to DocuSign. And in DocuSign, you're going to upload the files that you created in web forms, and then you're going to send them off to get signed. And when they're signed, you're going to download them and then send them off to the market center. Okay, so those are the extra steps involved. I know right now, next one, you can just fill out everything in Fall Tour and it gets pushed along.
Yep.
What I propose is some extra work, but eventually, when I go in here, allow me to go one moment, document, you can see there's this section listed under contract close, and this is where you would upload the files and it gets submitted to the market center, and then the market center reviews them. It's not coming in an email. They have a completely different system. They have a different version of Command where they're able to see everyone's opportunities, approve the opportunity or decline it, and you get a red X or a green check mark and a reason beside it. So you're not waiting to hear back from anybody. You're not sifting through your emails looking for this information. This is where it is. You get a notification, you come right to it. You can add a comment. You can create a discussion for this particular opportunity. So if you have 5 deals on the go and all of them require communication and they're complex, you can create a discussion within the opportunity specific to that opportunity and organize all of the conversation and the ebb and flow of that conversation without having to go into your inbox and sort through and follow threads. Because we all know how quick and easy it is. If I'm talking to one person about 3 things and I have 3 separate emails, how quick and easy does that conversation get put into one email? And then it becomes a mess trying to sort that information out. Right? We've all been there. This allows you to streamline that. You can add notes. There's a timeline for everything of when it was created. There's a history, it records and timestamps everything for that opportunity on the go. So before we even get into DocuSign or uploading files and creating discussions, on the surface, opportunities gives you the ability, especially if you're a solo agent, new and you're just getting things started. This gives you an opportunity to, I said opportunity quite a bit, to create these columns or phases and create checklist items within them to help you organize your business and move everybody through your pipeline. Okay, so how many people on the call today? I see Annette, Sierra, I don't know how new you are. Deb, I know you're relatively new. George, we've talked quite a bit. I don't know how long you've been with KW. Jocelyn, new to a team. Louis, I know you've been around the block once or twice. And Sam and Laura, I'm not quite sure how long you've been a realtor. So all depending on how, a month and a half. Wow, okay, my CRM does that. I know Louis, your CRM does this, but it costs you money to do it, and this is free. Perfect. So for those of you that are new, you're probably scratching your head and saying, what the hell are they talking about? And that's a very fair question, a very fair thing to do. What I'm talking about is your daily systems. You can see here, I have a ton of opportunities. Each one of these little rectangles is an opportunity. For you, it'd be a possible client. When you get a lead and you've reached out to them, not just when you get a notification about a lead, but you've reached out to that lead, you've had a conversation, you would add them in a lead section. And in this checklist item, you would create a bunch of things that you would do for that lead. For example, you would put them on new lead smart plan where you're sending them a smart plan about their current address and what it's worth, because maybe they're selling their home, but they're not quite sure when the right time to sell is. That once a month email is going to tell them what their house is worth and is going to keep you in contact with them. You're going to cultivate that lead. And to make sure you do that, there's going to be a checklist item in here that says, instead of agent profile, it's going to say add to new lead smart plan. And when you do it, you're going to go in and hit check. So now you know it's done and you don't have to worry about that. They're on that smart plan. And then there's going to be another column that says bi-monthly phone call, because you don't want to harass this person. And again, you can completely change these things to whatever your systems and model looks like. So you're going to say bi-monthly phone call, and you're going to set the due date for May 16th. And then on that day, you get a notification to call them. You call them. You have a great conversation. You say, I'm not going to talk to you next month. I understand you're going on holiday. I'll talk to you the month after that. And they say, oh, Ryan, that's fantastic. I look forward to the call. And thanks for those monthly emails. I'm finding it very useful to know what my home is worth. And we're not ready just yet, but maybe soon. So then you go back in and you change the date for when you're going to call them. Or you can create, like, because you have options here, you can create a smart plan that reminds you to call them every 2 months. So you're just clicking it once and the smart plan automatically tells you to do that. So you don't have to manually go in and change all of these dates. Before smart plans were customizable, that's how I was advising agents, and I kind of slipped into my old sales pitch there. So I would just create a smart plan, which we've covered, and I'll be doing again for this purpose of bi-monthly call, right? You want to, you have their birthdays. Maybe you put them on a happy birthday smart plan as well. All right. There's all kinds of things you can do and customize within these checklist items. And then all of that cultivating of that lead gets to the point where they want to book an appointment or they're going into the next step. Then you're able to move that card to the next step. You're able to go into appointment, right? And grab them and follow that system. And then from the appointment, they're an active client. And that's where things get really interesting, because under active is where they're going to be signing a whole bunch of agreements to work with you, a whole bunch of documents. You're going to be, maybe if they're selling their house with you, you need to get photos of their home. You need to get it up on MLS. You need to stage it, maybe if that's one of the options. You need to create a virtual tour of the home. All of these things you need to do would be under the active section within one card. And you can create a standard checklist. So whenever you create an opportunity and move it to that section, that checklist is already there. You don't have to recreate it every single time you have a new opportunity, right? A lot of people are doing that right now. They get a new contact, then they go into tasks and they start creating the same task 50 times for 50 different contacts. Or if you're not even using Command in a CRM, you've got your computer at home, you've got a spreadsheet, or you have a zillion stick-it notes all over your monitor and around the wall telling you what to do and when to do it. Command and opportunities takes all of that away. Find a nice picture you want to hang up instead of those stick-it notes, and rely on the system that's digital and goes wherever you go to help keep you organized and stay on track with every opportunity you have for every client that you have. So I rambled on there a lot. I've covered a lot of stuff. I know Annette had some questions about next one in Fall Tour, but does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, or a little confused about some of the things I've talked about? I'm more than happy to dig back into it.
It's me again.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so for example, if I would do now, say for example, put a listing in that I just sold. So instead of going through all of this, I know I've got it already signed up at next one, but I wouldn't mind trying it, just how it works. So
Yep.
would put in that person in here and then throw it straight away on the on the contract, because it's not closed yet, because we'll be closing next week.
Yep.
And then, so how do I do that? Maybe you can show that, just to,
So
you know,
if
I
you're
can put
just
some
dipping your toe
clients
in
in
the
there that
water,
I've.
and if you're not going to take full advantage of opportunities, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You would go. I would go right into. You can't create an opportunity when you're under contract. Cultivate, appointment, and active. Those first three allows you to create an opportunity. See in the top right hand corner.
Yeah.
Okay, so go into active, create an opportunity, and because you're not taking full advantage of this, just select your client in the drop down list or start typing their name. Okay. It's automatically going to name, because it has an opportunity name, which shows up in light blue. I highly recommend, if it's a listing, you put in the address, 123 Main Street. It'll help you keep your opportunities organized. And then you
Okay.
put in a commission rate.
Yeah.
Once you do that, it's going to take you to this opportunities details. You don't have to worry about it. Just click up here.
Yep.
And then you would grab the opportunity and just move it into under contract.
Okay.
And you would keep it there until it closed.
Okay.
When it closed, you drag it into your close section, because you're able to look at all opportunities that you've ever created, including closed ones, as well as all ongoing discussions. I don't have any, so this isn't going to load anything. Oh, look, it is. Members 6. I do have discussions going on. I didn't know that. So that's how you very lightly, like on the surface, start to use opportunities.
Okay.
George,
Well, I can start with that. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. George, I saw your mic popped on for a second. Did you have a question?
Nope, I'm good.
Oh, George.
Yeah, I did. It's not at all confusing.
You want to teach tomorrow's class for me then?
Oh yeah, sure. You'll never hear from me again. So if we take a look at, so we've got the tasks. Okay, so we've got our contacts, right?
Yeah.
Let me just, where are we here? I've got too many windows open now. All right.
No problem.
So I'm just gonna, so if we go into our contacts, right?
Yep.
And we establish a task for them, right?
Yep.
That would be under tasks, correct?
Correct. Now, let me ask you, what kind of task is this?
Okay, so if I go, let me just, I'll just think this through for a second here. Okay, so I go into my person, right? And I put a smart plan in,
Yep.
right? And my smart plan says I'm supposed to phone them today.
Yep.
So if I go into my tasks, it shows today's task is to call my friend Andy, because it's the quarterly call. So that those two are equal, as it were, the information, right? Like they try both.
To be honest, I don't know that the tasks section displays smart plan tasks. I don't know that it does that.
Okay, because if I hang on a second here, like, come on, window. There. So if I go into my friend Andy, on my tasks box to the right of the basic listing, it says smart plan, subscribe to my quarterly smart plan.
Yeah.
Then if I go into tasks, today my task is to phone my friend Andy, which is what I had set up into my smart plan.
George. I'm going to ask to share your screen, because what you're talking about is pretty phenomenal, and I've never tested it out. And if it's doing what I think it's doing, I'm going to be so happy.
Yep.
Perfect. Select the screen you'd like to share. All right. So that's your task, quarterly call. So the task list is communicating with the smart plan, and displaying the tasks in the smart plan in the task section.
Right, so let's go to my, so here we go to my contacts.
Yep.
Not that I have 10,000 windows open. All right. So I've got it in alphabet first name. So there's my friend Andy, right?
Yep.
I had set up Andy on a smart plan, and that was what I had done, right?
Yep. Before you leave, can
Yeah.
you please click on tasks for me on the right-hand side?
Oh, sorry.
Go back. Yeah, go back to your contact.
One finger too fast.
No problem.
Okay.
So just so everybody's aware, the task icon on the left displays all of your tasks, and you select a date range. When you're on an individual, so go ahead and click on Andy for me.
Yeah.
On the right-hand side, you see where it says Smart Plans, you got a task up there. So
Yeah.
that'll show the task that's assigned to that individual.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal, George. I'm so happy that you brought this question up because it's showing that a task in a Smart Plan shows up in the timeline or the task section of the individual. So when you go on
Right.
this task, up in the top left,
Yeah.
it says show my task for, and you have today. You can do the next
Yeah.
7 days. There's a drop down here that allows you to look at everything, just so everybody is
Right.
aware.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Right. And these tasks also show up on your Kelly app.
Right. Okay. So the next question I have is, if I go into opportunities,
Yeah.
which we're going into now.
Are you wondering if if you create a task in opportunities, if it shows up there?
Or vice versa.
Well,
So if I create,
go ahead. I think I know where you're
yeah,
going
so
with this, George. If you go into
yeah, so if I,
opportunities and you create a bunch of tasks
yeah,
under those opportunities for those individuals, yes. So if you go back to your task manager for me, notice at the top it says, once it loads,
yeah,
you have contact tasks. Well, you also have opportunity tasks.
right,
And in
okay,
that section, it'll show, because it differentiates between the two different types of tasks. So
okay,
every time you create an opportunity and they're in section 1, and that section has 5 pre-created, predetermined tasks, it will
right,
show those tasks in this window for you.
okay. So then, sorry, we'll go back to opportunity. So if I decide to put Andy into the buyers and I'm working on, and I do, okay, let's just stick that in there.
Cool. Top right-hand corner, click create opportunity.
Okay.
Under client, start typing Andy. There's no drop down here. You
Oh,
have to
okay.
start typing.
Right. Okay.
Select him. So
Yeah.
Andy Wycheck, or I can't see the last name, but it says buyer. So all you have to do
Yeah.
here now is enter in a commission rates, 2.5. If you hit
Okay.
create, it'll tell you missing your information.
Okay.
Create.
Yeah.
The rest is all filled out because you've already gone into the opportunity. Actually, don't hit, if you've already hit and create, that's fine. But if you haven't, please hold 1 second.
Okay.
This is important so everybody is aware. If you go to a contact and you click create opportunity, you have to fill out all of the sections you see in front of you. And you have to know where you are ahead of time. And there's a lot of fields to fill out. But if you go into your opportunity, you go into cultivate and click create an opportunity, 99% of those fields are filled out for you because you're already in that specific section of the opportunity. All that's missing is 3 things: the contact, the opportunity name, and your commission rate. So I'm just explaining why in this section, the way George has done this, a lot of it is filled out for him, and I highly recommend doing it that way.
Right. So create opportunity. So if I create, right, then it
Takes you to the details page.
Details. Okay.
Scroll up, top left-hand corner, so you don't have to go all the way back. You'll see in the blue, there's buy/cultivate above. Yeah, that's exactly. That'll take you back to the section you were at before you created. There you go.
Okay. So,
you don't have a checklist item for this column. Can you click and drag it over to nurture for me? Let's see if something already exists there.
Okay.
No. Okay, do me a favor, click on the 0/0.
Yep.
Okay, hit add item. Test. Save. Close. My OCD is going nuts. Bottom right-hand corner, click accept cookies for me. Thank you very much. All right, so now that we have a task, let's go back to the task manager. Let's see how quickly this updates itself. And once this loads, click on opportunity task. Yeah, I don't know how quickly that data pushes through, and there's a difference here. So I'm gonna take the screen back, George.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Just to elaborate a little more. Perfect. So when you go into an opportunity, so now, because this is so customizable, I use this for my one-on-ones with agents. That's this first one-on-one, and here are the 6 things that they need to do, right? So if I was to go up here and create an opportunity, test name, right? So test name, blah, 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 100%. As soon as that opportunity drops in, I'm going to scroll down all the way down. So there it is. That's the one I just created, this opportunity here, okay? It automatically has that checklist item that I've predetermined what is in this column. You added one here. So there's a difference between adding one at this section, and I haven't even shown you guys how to do it yet, but how to have the task in here ahead of time. So let's just say, for argument's sake, this column was listing, right? You would have the standard things that you do for every single listing already filled out and ready to go so that it pops up in the checklist item. But for this particular listing, there's something unique that you have to do. Then you would hit add item, and it creates a task just for this opportunity, and it doesn't add it to the rest of them. It's separate from the standardized checklist. It's a custom item for that particular opportunity. Did that make sense, George?
Yeah, it does. Now,
Okay. So
the
now,
question, yeah.
Sorry, just
Right.
because I already have predetermined checklist items, if I go into opportunity tasks,
Yeah.
there are all of the tasks associated to my opportunities. I have 14 of them.
And that's all the stuff in the last listed as tasks, correct?
Exactly. So I don't know, and we'll dig into it and find out. I don't know if it's because you created a custom task that it didn't show, or that because you created a custom task, it takes additional time to show up in the task manager.
Right, okay.
We're gonna go in and figure it out. Okay, so opportunities, it has a ton of stuff. Really, it does. If you don't feel overwhelmed looking at opportunities, I'm scared because when I look at it, I get overwhelmed. Like when you create an opportunity, when you go in to a specific section and you edit a stage, you can put in a probability percentage. Okay, just to touch on this for a second, these percentages talk to command so that this section has a lower percentage, this section has a higher percentage. And what that does is the artificial intelligence knows as it's going through those phases, it's going to go from potential to probable, and probable is going to have a more accurate number because the percentage is higher. So if I could take a step back, if you're at cultivate or maybe appointment, that percentage is 50-50. It's a 50% percentage. That appointment could go either way. So if you have an opportunity with $1 million listing, your potential income is $1 million. But if you move that appointment to active, your active percentage jumps from 50 to 90%. Then your probable income is going to skyrocket because you're moving through your system, and the artificial intelligence, based on your percentages, calculates what that income is going to look like for you. So I've not actually done that. You can see here, I'm going to go into active. I'm going to edit my stage. I'm going to go to, all right, I'm going to click edit. That's 100% because they've actually paid, invoiced. I'm going to put that in as 90%. And then I'm gonna hit go back. That's all saved. So now when I jump back and I look at my buyers, all of a sudden you can see my probable income's gone up because it's calculating on those percentages. And I'm just tip of the iceberg here talking about these percentages just to show you what it does on the graph in your charts. If you've ever wondered, okay, I'm my own company, I'm a real estate agent, when can I go on a holiday? When's the best time of the year for me to go where, it's not the down season at the resort and we get, the family doesn't have a good time? This will map out your income, letting you know when your income is going to come in and when you can take a break, and you determine, okay, this is the perfect 2-week holiday time that I can go because I have a whole bunch of deals closing during that time. And so when I come back, I have money coming in. I have money right now to go on the holiday, right? So it really helps you map out your life. Like I don't have, like, again, listings, but it says closing this month. If you put in your dates and fill out the opportunities to the full extent, it'll tell you all of that stuff. And the more you use it, the more command and the artificial intelligence gets to know you, and it will tell you, hey, George, you have a 67% chance of closing the deal. If you do these 3 things that you've done on occasion, you'll have an 89% chance of closing this deal. So that's pretty mind-blowing, if you ask me. Starting to use opportunities, the first step is to create an opportunity and record the value of the house so that you can start mapping out the cost. And then we're going to dig into more of the opportunity and take advantage of all these fields that are in here. We'll probably jump into documents, and I'll walk everyone through DocuSign because that's free. And we'll be able to take advantage of that. And then we're going to go into other things for, like, in here we have time frame, months, estimated closing date, appointment scheduled, appointment date, agreement 1, contract date. All of these populate your actions, your target, your goals. You have X amount of appointments you need to meet a month, and that's in your is it GCI? I always get CGI and GCI confused, but that's in your calculator. And as you meet these appointments, it's going to show you on your dashboard. Let's give it a second to load. Right here, leads, appointments, under contract, closed units. It'll give you percentages, right? And you can really dig into all of this information and map everything out that you're doing. Like it's so deep, opportunities, and it offers so much to every agent on so many different levels. Somebody like Annette, who just wants to dabble in it a little bit, all she's doing is creating an opportunity, putting the contact's name, what the house is worth, and what her percentage is. And then that's all she's gonna fill out. And then she's gonna move those tiles through the process to close, and Command's gonna map everything out for her, including her commission cap. And then from there, I assume, and I'm guessing that she's going to dabble around with DocuSign a little bit just to see what the difference is between Next One and DocuSign. And you're going to fall in love with DocuSign, and you're going to start using that more. And since you're already doing DocuSign and entering in those details, you might as well just start entering in those dates and the offers and commissions. And before you know it, you're 100% immersed in Command and opportunities. And you didn't do it in one fall swoop. You didn't rip off a Band-Aid and jump into the deep end with both feet. You did it on your own time, your own learning curve, on your own comfort level, right? I'm never going to ever tell anyone do this 100% right now. You're going to do it at your own speed.
Ryan?
Yep.
So logically, it's a dangerous word to use, however.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that if I've got, let's say I've got 5 people, which I think are going to be, which I consider leads, and because I've got a sense that they're going to be, buying or selling within the next year, it would be a good idea to start putting them into this,
Yes.
into the
Opportunities. I would create an opportunity, and
right.
that opportunity, I would map out the smart plans that I would want to use.
Okay.
And I'll
Yeah,
tell you
'cause
something else.
yeah.
With smart plans, this isn't live yet, but just to give you an idea of some of the things that are happening, when they're in a smart plan, or if I move them to a specific column within here, and smart plan is one of them, it will automatically trigger the smart plan if it's one of the checklist items. It's not doing it yet, but that's one of the things that they're building. And then
Right,
within the
okay.
smart plan, if they follow certain instructions, it's going to move the opportunity from one column to another based on what they do in that smart plan.
Right.
So before we get there, it'd be great to learn how all of this works now.
Yeah, okay. So not that I have any time. However, okay, because that way, you know, I've got some people up on smart plans already, so it's just a matter of putting them into this into the cultivate portion. All
So
right.
tomorrow, what I'm going to show everyone to do is how to customize these columns in the checklist items. Like you get to rename this, you get to completely change what the checklist items are. That's really quick and easy on how to do it. We'll have a brief discussion on what should be in there. And before the end of the day, I'm going to have, if you haven't already connected your DocuSign account, I'm going to show you how to connect it. Okay, so that's our time today. I know, just like I said before, the first day of a new topic is very overwhelming. So don't be scared if you're looking at this and you're terrified. That's normal. We're going to break it down into smaller sections and figure out how to work on all of this together. And it's going to be fantastic. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. If you've jumped in for scripts, which is starting momentarily, I apologize. I do have to exit this chat room for attendance sake and the recording. See you all tomorrow for Command and Conquer, and I'll see you in a couple seconds for scripts with Chris Knighton.